Australia has long been celebrated as a beacon of hope, a vibrant nation built on opportunity, multiculturalism, and the dreams of millions who chose to call it home. But in 2025, that hopeful image is rapidly unraveling. A sweeping wave of immigration reforms is casting a shadow over the future of countless migrants, sending tremors through families, industries, and entire communities. What has changed? Why are these policies being introduced now? And most importantly, who stands to lose everything they've built? This year, Australia is undergoing what many are calling the most aggressive immigration overhaul in modern history. Marketed as a strategic move to streamline migration and reduce pressure on public services, the reality is far more complex and controversial. The new framework is not just a set of bureaucratic updates, it's a seismic shift that could dismantle lives, divide families, terminate skilled careers, and undo decades of contribution from migrants who helped shape today's Australia. In this video, we'll unpack the full scope of these reforms, how they function, who they target, and why outrage is growing louder by the day. Whether you're an immigrant, a concerned citizen, or simply someone who believes in fairness, what's happening right now in Australia affects more than policy. It strikes at the very soul of the nation's identity. But before we dive in, like this video, and if you're new here, subscribe for more insightful content like this, and leave a comment saying, "I subscribed," so we can welcome you personally. Let's dive in. 1. The new immigration rules. Explained. At the heart of Australia's 2025 immigration overhaul lies a significantly tougher, high-stakes points-based system. A system that has not just been revised, but completely re-engineered to prioritize economic efficiency over inclusivity. To qualify for permanent residency or citizenship, applicants must now clear a bar set higher than ever before. The new criteria demand advanced qualifications specifically in high-demand sectors. Exceptional English language skills, verified through stricter testing. Proven work experience within Australia, often in highly skilled or regulated industries. A minimum salary threshold that exceeds the national average, pricing out many essential workers. This means that only those deemed to have maximum economic value, software engineers, IT specialists, doctors, researchers, and top-tier professionals, are fast-tracked through the system. But what about the backbone of society? Workers in industries like hospitality, aged care, childcare, trades, and transportation, many of whom kept the country running during the pandemic, are being quietly pushed to the margins. They're no longer seen as a priority. To make matters worse, family reunification policies have tightened drastically. Now, only immediate family members are eligible for sponsorship. And even then, sponsors must meet strict income and financial stability benchmarks. This change disproportionately affects lower-income migrants, often separating families based solely on economic status. The message from the top is clear. Unless you're among the economic elite, Australia's door is closing fast. 2. Real-life impact on immigrants. These sweeping policy changes aren't just cold government decisions, they're upending lives, breaking apart families, and threatening the dreams of people who have spent years, sometimes decades, building a future in Australia. Long-term immigrants who once believed they were firmly on the path to citizenship are now being told they no longer qualify under the new rules. Some received this news overnight, with no time to prepare, no transition plan, and limited legal options. Imagine spending over a decade in a country, paying taxes, working, raising children, only to be informed that your future here is no longer welcome. Even children born and raised in Australia are now at risk of being torn from one or both parents if those parents fall short of the new requirements. For thousands of families, the emotional weight is unbearable. Fear of deportation, uncertainty about legal status. Sleepless nights wondering what comes next. But this isn't just a humanitarian crisis. It's an economic miscalculation too. Essential sectors like healthcare, construction, aged care, and education, already stretched thin, are now facing severe labor shortages. Hospitals lack nurses. Schools struggle to fill teaching roles. Construction sites stall due to a lack of skilled tradespeople. Aged care facilities in desperate need of support staff are buckling under the pressure. The government's quest to optimize the economy may end up crippling it instead. 3. How immigrants could be forced to leave. What makes these reforms even more devastating is their retroactive nature. They're not just affecting new applicants, but also long-time residents who were already part of the system. Many of whom were on the final stretch toward permanent residency or citizenship. Migrants who had once met every requirement, who had worked, studied, paid taxes, and built stable lives, are suddenly receiving notices that they no longer qualify. Their once approved pathways have been abruptly revoked, and their futures now depend on an immigration system that has shifted beneath their feet. The consequences? Thousands are being thrust into costly legal battles, scrambling to find immigration lawyers, gather new documentation, and challenge decisions in court, all under intense emotional and financial stress. Deadlines are unforgiving, the paperwork is confusing, and misinformation is rampant, making it easy to fall through the cracks. For many, this fight is not just about a visa. It's about saving their home, their family, their identity. Some have already begun to pack, not out of choice but out of despair, unsure whether their next hearing will secure their right to stay or result in a one-way ticket back to a place they no longer recognize as home. The reforms have created a legal limbo, a shadow zone where thousands of migrants now exist, unable to fully belong, yet not officially removed. This uncertainty is not just unsettling, it's inhumane. 4th, public outcry and hope for reform. But as the human toll becomes more visible, so too does the resistance. In cities across Australia, student groups, human rights advocates, migrant families, and concerned citizens are rising in protest. Their message is unified and urgent. This is not the Australia we believe in. There's a growing demand for policies that reflect compassion, fairness, and reality, not just cold economic calculations. Protesters and critics argue that the new laws betray the humanitarian principles on which Australia was founded, threaten national progress by turning away skilled workers vital to the economy, divide society into two classes, those with wealth and power and those who are shut out, no matter how hard they've worked. These reforms are not simply administrative, they're moral choices. And now Australia faces a pivotal decision. Will it continue down a path of exclusion and elitism, risking its social cohesion and international reputation? Or will it reclaim its legacy as a land that values diversity, welcomes contribution, and offers a fair chance to all? The pressure for reform is mounting. The question now is whether those in power will listen before it's too late. 5. Australia risks global reputation damage. The consequences of these immigration reforms are not confined within Australian borders. They are sending shockwaves across the globe. For years, Australia was praised as a model of multiculturalism, a place where skilled migrants, international students, and global partnerships flourished. But in 2025, that reputation is beginning to fracture. Governments and global institutions are re-evaluating their partnerships with Australia. Education exchange programs are being paused or redirected to more welcoming nations. International students, who contribute billions annually to Australia's economy, are now second-guessing their future here, choosing countries like Canada, the UK, and Germany instead. The effects go even deeper. Tourism may decline. Foreign investment could shift elsewhere. And in a world racing to attract the best talent, Australia may find itself left behind, isolated in a competitive global marketplace where inclusion is a key advantage. What was intended to protect the nation's future may in fact be the very policy that jeopardizes it. Because when a country sends the message that only wealth and elite credentials are welcome, it doesn't just lose potential residents, it loses respect, relevance, and trust on the world stage. 6. What happens next? As awareness spreads, so does the urgency to act. From the halls of Parliament to the streets of Sydney and Melbourne, voices are rising, demanding a return to a more balanced, inclusive, and humane immigration system. The Australian government has hinted that further changes may be possible, but real reform will only happen if enough people speak out. This is not just a moment of policy debate, it is a defining chapter in Australia's story. Will the nation reclaim its identity as a land of opportunity for all, or allow these reforms to become the lasting symbol of a country closing its doors? For now, millions of migrants, workers, students, and families wait in limbo, hoping that tomorrow brings compassion, clarity, and change. Australia's true strength has never been found in rigid policies or exclusive borders. It lies in its people, all its people. Let us not forget that. The future depends on the choices we make today. If this video opened your eyes, please give it a like, share it to raise awareness, and hit subscribe for ongoing updates on immigration issues worldwide. Drop a comment below and tell us, what's your story? What do you think Australia should do next? Your voice could be part of the change.